Welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of the Porsche Club of America Sim Racing Series 5 season finale from Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. James Pike, the voice of Podium Esports, alongside Taylor Burris and our producer Ryan Bauer. As we work our way through the evening, it's time for our third class of the night to conclude their season. This is the club class presented by Michelin, a better way forward. And before we turn our attention towards the club class, we remind you all that once we wrap tonight, start looking towards 2021. Year 3 of PCA Sim Racing is poised to be the largest year of PCA Sim Racing yet. For the first time ever, there will be zone competition. Zones and regions will go at it on their own, in their own PCA Sim Racing competitions. And you can turn to PCASimRacing.com/zone-groups to find out more information about that. And then, not one, but 2 broadcasted series coming in 2021. The first is an all-new endurance series that will start January 15th, 2021 at Daytona International Speedway. We'll come right back here to the road course, and that series is going to feature 2 drivers per car in the 911 RSR GTE. So it will be GTLM racing, as you all would know, with Porsches coming back here at Daytona to start the season off in January. That will carry on throughout the calendar year. And then, most importantly, Series 6 of PCA Sim Racing. We go back to the 911 GT3 Cup car for the first time since Series 3 back at the end of 2019. We're going to have plenty of fun, and of course, there will be plenty of EDE on hand as well. So there'll be plenty of driving education for anyone who wants to get involved. Go to PCASimRacing.com to find out all the information that you want and would need to get involved with the program that has gone from 40-plus drivers at the beginning of the first race, Series 1 Sebring International Raceway match last March, now up to close to 300 drivers registered across the United States and Canada, and one of the largest sim racing programs, and easily the largest sim racing program of any single marked car club in the world. We are all set to go for this sport class, where we'll set the scene for you before we get to the grid and let you know how it's panned out. When we come into this sport class race, all eyes are going to be on Sean Benet, brother of Jensen Benet. He has a 42-point lead over Trey Jawhorn coming into the final race of the season, and is in much better shape, I think, to claim the title here. It is not the race that we had in our sport class race where Jensen and Earl came into the night right on top of one another. Sean's got a pretty sizable gap, to say the least, and he could finish, if things go completely wild, 7th or better and still be guaranteed the title. 8th would give him a tie if we see Trey win, but Sean has more wins than Trey does. So Sean will get the tiebreaker, so then 9th would be good enough for Sean Benet to get the title, no matter what happens in the rest of the field. But watch out for Trey Jawhorn, watch out for Raphael Amarine, Stephen Chin, John Paul Leno and company, all very quick. And we'll see what they have to offer in this third race of the evening, the club class, presented by Michelin, a better way forward. Starting grid looks like this. Ed Nelson with the fast time of a 1 minute 52.701 second lap to take top spot on the grid over Jeff Smith. Raphael Amarine starts from the 3rd position. 4th is the 834 of Philippe Auberti. Trey Jawhorn starts from 5th. 6th is the 62 of Rodney Campbell. Jared Rodeheaver starts 7th. 8th to the 20 of Sean Murphy. Sean Benet will start from 9th, your points leader. And 10th on the grid is the 14 machine of Travis Brody.
Stephen Chen will be starting in 11th position, followed by Kevin Douglas in 12th position. Klaus Nielsen will be starting in the 13th position, followed by Mario Gonzalez in 14th. 15th goes to Jake Steinbrink, followed by Brett Holmes in the 16th position. Michael Evans starting in 17th with Marco Harris in 18th. 19th goes to Patrick Gill, and rounding out your top 20, we saw him give us the lap guide at Daytona. Michael Patterson starts 20th.
21st on the grid is Tamer Elbanga. Jeremy Mazzariello starts in 22nd. 23rd to the 63 of John Patterson, and Mike Nyden starts in 24th. 25th to the 386 of Bruce Robinson. Andrew Elsom starts 26th. 27th to the 89 of Robert Connell and Stephen Kinnaman. will roll off in 28 on the grid. The final car in this club class race. The season finale from Daytona International Speedway. So once again, look at the track facts. This is the road course at Daytona, a 3.56-mile, 5.73 kilometer circuit with 11 turns that opened in its current configuration in 1985 and is, of course, home to the Rolex 24 at Daytona, the biggest sports car race in the United States of America. We once again run at sunset. It's just around 8:25 local time in sim on the default day for iRacing, May 20th. Of course, the temps are the same as they've been for the first two races. 64 degrees Fahrenheit air temp, 66 degrees Fahrenheit track temp, with winds headed to the east at 10 miles an hour and humidity of 31%. We once again race for 40 minutes. We once again deal with all the action here. And also of note, 31 degrees of banking in the turns here at Daytona. NASCAR 1, 2, 3, and 4 referred to. That's the banking there. In the middle of the triangle, right near the start finish line, it's 8 degrees, 2 degrees of banking in the back straightaway. The infield is flat. There's your profile of Daytona. We're glad you're watching Podium Esports coverage of the Porsche Club of America Sim Racing Series 5 season finale from the World Center of Racing. Ed Nelson and Jeff Smith to get us going. Sean Benet looking for the title to bring one back to the Benet household on the Lincoln Trail region this evening. And we'll see what he can do to drive through this field. It wasn't necessarily the best of qualifying efforts compared to some of the other ones this year, but the speed is there for him to go win the race and win the title, as Ed Nelson brings us across the start-finish line in this club class race presented by Michelin is underway. Big move there on the outside from Rafael Amarim, who's got a few victories of his own in club class competition this year. But the same bottle that we saw from Jensen Bidet in the sport class race, it's Rafael Amarim, so he slides back to second. Trey Drawhorn fighting with Jeff Smith, and then we'll slide back a little bit as he goes wide to the outside.
Ooh, trouble for Sean Benet as he goes off course.
Benet checked up and made sure he couldn't hit Trey Drawhorn, so now he slides back and is all the way back to 17th, as it looked like one of the Irish flag cars got into trouble. Couldn't totally tell who that well. I think it was Patrick Gill that was in trouble. But Benet back to 16th, which is notable because that puts him outside of the protection range, to which he would be guaranteed the title. And the man you have to watch is Trey Drawhorn, who currently runs in 4th.
Great battling all throughout the race right now, and drama unfolds here at Daytona as Sean Benet has to climb up a big hill of cars right now as they come up into turn number 6. A couple of cars go off course, but still keep it clean and green for the most part as they enter the banking here of turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, back up to the race lead, Rafael Amarin is your race leader after getting around, looks like to be Trey Drawhorn. Also ran into some trouble as he falls back to 12th position, now 13th, and falling farther back behind the field right now. But I'm trying to see what happened to Ed Nelson, who dropped all the way to 9th.
Now, the important thing to note here for Sean Benet, maybe the biggest linchpin in his run to a title, is that his worst finish of the season so far is an 8th. That came back at Barber Motorsport Park. So, if in fact he finishes worse than 8th tonight, he will effectively get points for 8th, and then it all comes down to whether or not Trey Drawhorn can win this race to make it incredibly tight, incredibly close. But Sean Benet in a very strong position, even though he's back to 14th now. There's time, there's pace to jump back up through the field, and I wonder then maybe if this might become a matter of just trying to stay out of the way, as there's a little bit of contact there from Brett Holmes, and Benet will slide back a little bit further to the 15th spot now.
As he was able to get around Brett Holmes once again to move back up to 14th. He'll dive to the inside of Mario Gonzalez to try and get that 13th position. Trey Drawhorn is up ahead of him right now as they come out of the International Horseshoe and work their way towards the kink.
On the way out towards the king, Jeff Smith has managed to take over the lead ahead of Jared Rodeheaver. Amarin is back to 3rd, and Filippo Berti, who came in the middle of the season, another one of the Q Cup drivers who have had so much success in PCA sim racing over the course of 2020. He sits in the 4th spot just ahead of Rodney Campbell, one of our representatives of the Wild Rose region, the PCA out of southern Alberta and the Calgary area. Rodney Campbell runs in 5th.
Couple of drivers, though, have worked their way up to the race lead. Jeff Smith right now in that number 16 has currently got the race lead ahead of Jared Roadheaver in second place, about half a second back. Then you'll find Rafael Almarin in third, your top three. So a couple of new drivers who have yet taken the lead here this season, Jeff Smith and Jared Roadheaver, as they work their way through the bus stop chicane and start to pull away from Rafael Almarin.
Two things to note here. One, Sean Benet's up to 13th, but two, more importantly, Trey Drawhorn is all the way back in 11th now, and it is first and second in the title that run 12th and 11th on the racetrack respectively, or at least first and second in the title hunt, as it were. But Trey Drawhorn needs more than that. If they finish in these two spots, Sean Benet is your champion without question. And maybe the bigger issue here is whether or not Rafael Almarin can mix it up at the front and maybe make this a little bit more entertaining. Drawhorn only came into this evening with an 18-point lead on Almarin, so that's closer as Trey Drawhorn gets into Stephen Chen entering turn one. Chen goes sideways but gathers it back up. Drawhorn missed the breaking point, and I wonder whether or not we're going to see a penalty from race control on that one. If Drawhorn gets a black flag, that would be detrimental to his efforts to try and finish second in the standings, because that would just about kill his ability to do so, and Almarin running third would likely take over second as it stands. We'll keep our eyes peeled to see whether or not race control issues a penalty to the 395 machine, but second in points may now be in the balance for Trey Drawhorn.
Certainly may be, as we continue to watch the battle throughout the rest of the field right now. Ed Nelson trying to get his way back up to the front of the field, trying to catch up to Klaus Nielsen and Sean Murphy as they come out of turn number 6, heading up to the 31 degrees of banking in NASCAR turns 1 and 2. Sean Murphy having a great run, currently running in the 5th position.
So we'll watch, we'll wait, we'll see. The good news for Drawhorn and Almarin is that Stephen Chen was 42 points back of Almarin and 60 points back of Drawhorn entering this evening. That means that if either of them win the race, that it would be a significant gap that Chen would have to work through, and they could finish about, I believe, 10th or better and still be okay if Chen won. But Chen, he's been winning at this point. He's in the 9th position, which means that gap extends to about 19th before we have to worry about any sort of points change.
Well, right now, it's going to be a little bit of a more points change. Trey Drawhorn has been black flagged for that incident, so he'll have to come down pit road to serve his penalty.
So he'll be black flagged, and that will put Almarin in second in the line point standings. And then it's going to be all about where he comes out in relation to Stephen Chen. That's the big number we're going to watch. Drawhorn, we presume, will serve his penalty next time by. The question might be whether or not he can get his pitch stop knocked down as well. It might save him a little bit of time, but Drawhorn definitely struggling with that car a bit. It just looks like the tires aren't coming up to temp the way he'd like to. And as hard as he's pushing that thing, he'd like a little bit more grip, especially in the rear of the car on the infield section of the racetrack where there's not much banking to help.
Certainly is not. It is all mechanical grip and making sure those tires give you enough grip in order to propel yourself off corner exit. We've seen that time and time again all throughout the night and throughout different parts of the race. Drivers struggling for grip off corner exit here, and we'll see if that continues throughout the night. But that's one of the things you have to keep in mind in order to try and have a good race right now, as we keep an eye on our points leader, Sean Benet. He's starting to close in to the rest of the top 8. Travis Brody is the next car in front of him, and he's going to track him down very quickly here in a lap or two.
Where does Drawhorn come out? And this completely doesn't even take away from the fact that Almarin is now stalking that second spot of Jared Roadheaver as those two enter the bus stop, and it nearly was tight between them. Roadheaver did not leave much room for Almarin to come through. Almarin got a decent run out of the bus stop, and he comes up high on the top side of the banking, even with Roadheaver, as they pass. It looks like Jeff Smith, who I think grazed the wall just a bit coming out of the corner. Indeed he did. So Jeff Smith, the race leader, makes a mistake on the exit of the bus stop, smacks the fence, and gives up the race lead to Roadheaver, who now is door-to-door with Almarin, crossing the start-finish line for P1, and it will be Roadheaver who has that inside going into turn 1, but we've seen different lines and different apexes out of that corner, and Almarin may be able to get the run to the International Horseshoe if he plays his exit right.
He's trying to right now, but Jared Roadheaver will shut the door on Rafael Amorim as they work their way up to the International Horseshoe. Amorim goes the outside route. Roadheaver hugs the inside line. Jeff Smith, well, he's going to watch on as the crossover happens as Amorim goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Jared Roadheaver holds position.
Roadheaver will hang on to the lead. Then Amorim, Jeff Smith, after all that damage, still only back in third. Miraculous. And Rodney Campbell with one of his best runs of the year, if not, I think his best run outright of the season so far, currently holding fourth rather, and same for the driver in fifth out of the Palmetto region, Sean Murphy, who only just a few weeks ago, when we were racing at Road Atlanta, became an American citizen, originally from the Republic of Ireland. But Murphy, in that green and white and orange car, you couldn't tell where his heritage comes from, but a really strong run for him in fifth, just ahead of Ed Nelson.
Certainly is a strong run indeed for Sean Murphy in that number 20 Porsche as he is trying to run down the 62 of Rodney Campbell. Looking at their lap times right now, Sean Murphy was quite a bit faster than Rodney Campbell, about a good 6/10, but here comes Ed Nelson right on the back bumper of Sean Murphy as they go through the bus stop chicane, and everybody's starting to bunch up a little bit inside the top six.
Is getting a little bit tighter in the top six. The top three are spread out by maybe half a second at best, as Jeff Smith got a great run off the corner, and he is gaining on Amorim, who is in turn gaining on Jared Roadheaver for the race lead. Rodney Campbell in his own bubble, and then Sean Murphy and Ed Nelson will be door-to-door for a position coming across the start-finish line, as Roadheaver and Amorim are right there, and Jeff Smith is in the mix as well.
Great battle for the race lead as they dive it down into turn number one. Here goes Amorim. Will he overshoot the corner? No. He will maintain that spot as they come out of turn number one. Roadheaver, though, not giving it up just yet as they come through turns number two. Heading up to the International Horseshoe, Amorim has the inside advantage as they go in contact, though, between Smith and Jared Roadheaver, though, as they come out of the International Horseshoe. Here comes Rodney Campbell.
That was a tremendous shunt that Roadheaver got from Jeff Smith, but it didn't really cause much damage to the rear of the 982. It's Smith who's got the caved-in front end, so we know the right side has already been up on the 16 machine. Now the front of the 16 machine is dinged up too. We'll see how that affects him, especially on the banking in the NASCAR section of the racetrack. That's really where that damage is going to hurt Jeff Smith. That's also probably why Rodney Campbell has now found the rear bumper of the 16. Why Sean Murphy is right there. Why Ed Nelson is in the mix too, as Rafael Amorim has cleared Jared Roadheaver to get to the point with 6 laps up on the board.
Great battles here for the top six right now, and keeping an eye on Sean Benet. He's about 2.6 seconds back, got around Travis Brody for 8th position, so he is working his way up through the field right now to try and see if he can get back up to where he started it all, inside the top 5, so that way he could clinch the championship here for the club class.
Sean Benet in very strong position. He's top 7 right now. Remember, it's 8th or worse and 9th or worse with the tie break. Even Benet is just about virtually locked into the title no matter what happens if this holds. And it is all about what we can see out of Trey Drawhorn, but Drawhorn all the way back in 26 after that penalty. He did take tires, he did take fuel, so he shouldn't have to come down pit road again, but still, that's a lot of work for Drawhorn to do. And the bigger question now is whether or not he can hang on. He may actually be in danger of losing his spot to Stephen Chen. He may fall out of the podium altogether at this rate.
It's going to be a tough night for Trey Drawhorn in order to try and clinch the 3rd spot on the championship right now as he continues on his way, but it's going to be tough to see what will happen to him. Currently, he is just now looking at timing and scoring coming out of NASCAR's turn 3 and 4, some 39.4 seconds back from our race leader here on the field. And looking at timing and scoring, he's probably a good 35 seconds back from Sean Benet.
Indeed, a good measure back from Sean Benet, but it's not necessarily Benet, I think, that he's worrying about here. It's about Rafael Amorim, who's in the race lead. Amorim would take over second. Stephen Chen, though, is the one I think we need to be watching because Chen currently rides in the 10th position. And if Drawhorn finishes in 26, no question that Chen would take over 3rd in points. So this is Drawhorn racing to keep his podium place in class for the overall season. That's really what's at stake here.
It certainly is here. A chance to be on the podium for the championship would be an amazing outcome for Trey Drawhorn. So he is going to fight to the bitter end here, trying a little bit of the strategy, even though with that penalty he had a serve. He still took tires and fuel, so he should be good to go to the end, as we have an issue up in second place. Jared Roadheaver cut the course through the bus stop chicane. He's going to have to give up some time to Jeff Smith and Rodney Campbell.
Live points as they stand. If my math is right, it is a 6-point difference between Chen and Drawhorn, 2066 to 2060. If they finish as it stands, so it's going to be close here for Chen and for Drawhorn, and especially with the damage then I think that has been done to Drawhorn's track position with that penalty. That's really where this comes into play, because Drawhorn's got pace. He's outrunning about 7 or 8 cars that are ahead of him in timing and scoring. He just does not have the track position now to gain those spots back.
He certainly does not, so he needs to definitely try and plan a little bit of strategy, hoping these drivers in front of him will make their pit stops. That way he could capitalize on those drivers making a pit stop to help pull that gap apart a little bit between him and Stephen Chen.
2030 to 2060, actually, so it's a 36-point gap as it stands. It is very, very much in question here. If Stephen Chen manages to finish in the 10th spot, it looks like Drawhorn would have the tiebreaker. He's got more wins than Chen, but Chen's got such a big gap in the standings right now that we'll have to see whether or not Drawhorn makes the charge. We'll keep an eye on that over the course of this race, but as we carry on through the evening, we remind you that coverage of the season finale of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by Virtual Racing School. All drivers in all classes of PCA Sim Racing Series 5 have the opportunity to run setups courtesy of Virtual Racing School. And if you want to find more setups, more tips, and more tricks to become a faster driver, you can go visit their website at www.virtualracingschool.com for more information.
Currently looking through the field right now, Rafael Amarin has kind of pulled away from the rest of the field, a 1.8 second, now 2-second gap over Jeff Smith, but we still have a close battle for second place. Smith and Roadheaver along with Ed Nelson battling it out for second position as they go through NASCAR's turns 3 and 4 before they head down the front straightaway. Here we go, Jeff Smith, Roadheaver side by side off turn number 4. Ed Nelson with a head of steam with the help from the draft.
And Nelson with a decent amount of steam there, just hanging off the back of Jeff Smith. You see, that's really where the damage comes into play. All the aero wash that comes up when you've got all those crimps and crimples and dents and dings on the front end of that car, as Jeff Smith does. It does not help. Now, the big benefit for Smith is that it doesn't hurt near as much as it would if this were the GT3 Cup car, or the GTE, because these cars are the most reliant of the Porsches within iRacing.
Certainly is.
That have it's more mechanical grip here than it would be there. Doesn't change the fact though that when you're at a high-speed track like Daytona, that's still going to cost you something.
It is going to cost you a little bit of top speed. It's going to cost you a little bit in the slipstream as well in order to help make passes for you. You can't be slingshotting with the damaged race car right now, so we'll have to keep an eye and see if Jeff Smith is able to try and recover and hold on here as we are approaching 23 minutes left to go on the clock.
Towards the halfway point, contact though. Sean Benet goes around. Benet goes around with Travis Brody there. So contact between those two. He'll jump back into gear and get it going forward, but Benet will lose a little bit more track position. And Brody and Benet came together at the exit of the infield section of a racetrack right over there by the entrance to NASCAR 1. Looks like Benet got into trouble, and now he'll slide a little bit further back. He was running in 7th at the time. Actually, it was Rodney Campbell, I take that back, that he ran into. Just got into the back of Campbell and couldn't get it together. So both Benet brothers having some trouble tonight at Daytona. The good news for Sean, though, is that he's still in position to take the title.
He certainly is. Only lost one position after that with Klaus Nielsen getting ahead of Sean Benet right now. So he has about a 3-second pull to try and see if he can close the gap between him and Klaus Nielsen.
Klaus Nielsen, who was a winner of one of those Z1 dashboard prize packages earlier in the year. I wonder if that might have helped him a little bit figure out how to get around Daytona International Speedway, because this is one of his best runs of the year, too. A lot of drivers in the top 10 having really strong runs in comparison to their seasons. Ed Nelson currently a season's best third. Jared Roadheaver is P2 right now. That would be a season's best run for him. Same for Jeff Smith. Travis Brody with the season's best run. Ross Nielsen. Rodney Campbell's right in the mix there. I think Benet and Chen and Brett Holmes are the only three that aren't having season's best runs, or at least tying for it when you consider that Amarim has won a few races in the club class already in Series 5.
Certainly has, so we'll have to keep track and see if Rafael can continue to try and pick up where he left off with a win here at Daytona, or will Sean Benet continue his streak? Remember, he was on about a 4-race winning streak here before we came here to Daytona tonight, so we'll have to keep an eye and see if he can keep the streak alive.
13 seconds is what he needs to make up to get to Rafael Amarim. Not impossible, but when you consider that laps here are about 2 minutes and you've got maybe 21 minutes and change to go here, that gives you only about 11 laps left to go. So he would need to outpace Amarim by a second a lap. And Benet was slower that last time by. It was a 2:04.441. And his fastest lap of the evening was a 1:53.079, which is only 0.4 faster than what Amarim is running. So it's definitely possible, but it's going to take qualifying pace outright from Benet, plus the ability to get around traffic while running those laps in order to get back to Amarim.
Certainly is, and plus we still have to remember, we still have a pit stop strategy to go on here for the rest of the field right now. Currently the highest pitter is Sean Murphy in that number 20 Porsche. He's currently sitting in 16th position. The next one back is Trey Drawhorn in the number 20. In the 21st position in that 3.9 So we'll have to keep track and see how they continue to work their way up through the field here tonight.
Amarim still your race leaders. You look at some of the battling a little bit further back in this race. You see how nuts it can get. You ride with Trey Drawhorn, who currently has scored in 20th at this time, trying to catch up to Bruce Robinson and make some moves. You see the lap traffic of Mike Knighton just ahead of the 395 machine. You're right on board. Patrick Gill is looking back at Bruce Robinson, looking back at Trey Drawhorn, who's just in the picture there, that fourth car a little bit further back behind Knighton's red, white, and blue machine. And Drawhorn now, I think, might just be coming to pit road. So he did have to come down a second time to get together his pit stop. So yes, this is now very much podium in play for Steven Chen, who has yet to pit himself once. Now Drawhorn's going to have to come down twice. This time it is for tires and fuel, the way he would have liked to get on that first stop if it weren't for the penalty that he got at the beginning of the race.
Certainly is right now, as Steven Chen currently runs in the 9th position, just behind Sean Benet, running in 7th right now, or in 8th position right now, as we keep track and see what will happen to those drivers who have come down pit road. Meanwhile, a couple of other drivers who have made a pit stop, Felipe Alberte and Mike Knight, and both of them are 1 lap down.
We talked about how important drops are. How about this news from race control that Sean Benet has been black flagged for his run-in with Rodney Campbell. So Benet is going to have to come down and serve a penalty. But again, Benet's worst finish coming into tonight throughout the whole of Series 5 in this club class was 8. So no matter what happens here, he will get at worst 8th place points, which just about march him into the title. It is all but a mathematical certainty at this point. He's in great shape on that front, but his race is going to suffer. He's going to have to come down once to serve that penalty, and then again to get the tires and fuel that he needs. If you get penalized, you cannot take tires and fuel on the same pit stop and be done in one fell swoop. You have to come do it twice. So that is the issue at hand for Sean Benet. And Benet's going to have to come serve the penalty here in short order.
I believe that's what happened as well for Trey Drawhorn. Remember, we had his penalty, but he's already come down come down pit road to get his second fuel and tires to continue on racing here. But James, we're a little past the halfway point here. It's still going to be Rafael. We should be seeing pit stops here in the next 5 to 7 minutes before we'll see our leaders make their pit stop.
You said halfway, I say midway, and in either case, it is time to take our third midway race break of the evening, which is brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward. Rafael Amarim is your race leader at Daytona, cruising along. The driver out of the Peach State Region of the PCA has gotten it done. He's looking for a podium finish in class for the overall Series 5 tally as well. Also looking to pick up win number 3 of the season after winning last week at Suzuka and then in the third round of the season at Barber Motorsport Park. Ed Nelson out of the Pacific Northwest region is second. We talked about how strong they've been all night. The PNWs have found a way to get around Daytona, coming basically to the complete opposite side of the United States and putting on some very strong runs. Good run for him. Jared Roadheaver, your leader out of the Daytona region, the most prominent driver in PCA sim racing from the greater Philadelphia area, sits in P3 at this time. Fourth is Jeff Smith, another Daytona in there as well. Daytona, I guess the data in the national region are the same when you think about it. So Smith in fourth, two Keystoners doing well for their state in Philadelphia in PCA Sim Racing Series 5 season finale. Rodney Campbell out of the Wild Rose region was rebounded from that contact with Sean Bonet earlier in this race. Coming out of the Calgary region, Southern Alberta, he runs fifth at this time. Sixth belongs to Travis Brody, the Palmetto region, Charleston, South Carolina's top representative in PCA Sim Racing tonight. He has a solid top 10 run going just ahead of Klaus Nielsen, who has one of his best runs of the season going as well. The 04 machine out of the Lone Star region, which you will see feature very prominently in our final race of the evening. But Nielsen doing a nice job for them in seventh. Eighth, Stephen Chen on pace right now as it stands for that third place finishing points in an interview here at the end of the night. Out of the Diablo region, the Bay Area in California, Oakland, Lejo places east in great shape to pick that up if he can maintain his pace, which has been pretty quick throughout the race so far. Kevin Douglas from Douglasville, Pennsylvania, yet another Daytona driver that's 3 in the top 10 for the Daytona region of the PCA. But Douglas runs in the 9th position in his purple and yellow Porsche. And the final car in the top 10, guess what? Another Daytona to make it 4 out of 10 in the top 10. That, I think, would be a record in any PCA Series 5 race, maybe even in any PCA race outright, at least since the Maverick and Lone Star regions were dominating in Series 1. But really strong run for the Philadelphians tonight. Elvira runs 10.
Of course, in the 11th position, you'll find John Patterson from the Florida Crown region, currently running there, having a great run in that lime green number 63 Porsche. You go a little bit further back, you'll find the first car who has come down pit road, Sean Murphy from the Palmetto region. Of course, in those Irish colors here, working his way through the bus stop chicane. Going back to 13th, you will find the 6th of Brett Holmes having a great run tonight. He's from the Las Vegas region, as he's currently also trying to keep up with Sean Murphy right now in the 13th position. In 14th, you will find the 777 from the Hill Country region, Mario Gonzalez right now having a great run for him tonight, as he also has made his first pit stop of the night. In 15th, you'll find the 111 of Patrick Gill from the Central Wisconsin region, Zone 13, having a great run so far, as he just ran one of his best laps, a 158.156. In 16th, you will find the 25 from the North Country region, Jeremy Mazzariello, as he is trying to chase down Patrick Gill. He's about 3 seconds back, so he has a little bit of work to do here tonight, as he is going to come down pit road. Bruce Robinson now is in 16th position. He is from the Northern Ohio region, having a great run tonight in the 386. A Florida area code, if you think about it. As we go a little further back, we'll find Jeremy Mazzariello, who's currently coming down pit road. Jake Steinbrink in the number 46 has also come down pit road. He's from the Ohio Valley region. Rounding out the rest of your top 20, Trey Drawhorn from the Chicago region is trying to recover from a penalty and see if he can climb his way to claim a championship.
19th is Sean Bidet out of the Lincoln Trail region. He will score points for 8th at worst in this race. Just with the way the drops work, you get one drop over the course of 8 races, and 8th is his worst finish across the 7 races so far. So this race would be the drop for Bidet as it stands, but it still would be enough to get him the title ahead of the field. Stephen Kittimer with a debut tonight out of the Hill Country region of the PCA. That's Austin and San Marcos, the state capital of the state of Texas, which has plenty of representation. PCA sim racing is those who've been watching for a long time now, but he runs in 20th. 21st, a long-time veteran of PCA sim racing. That's Jeremy Mazzariello out of the North Country region of the PCA. That's New Hampshire up in New England. He holds 21st at this time. 22nd belongs to our convert and the man from the UK who has come over to the U.S., a Pete Stater, but also an Englishman by trade. Andrew Elsom runs in 22nd. 23rd, the 46 car, Jake Steinbrink, who's had a solid season out of the Ohio Valley region of the PCA in that, should we call it a pale yellow car? Almost a sort of honey mustard yellow, just about. The best dipping sauce for chicken. You'll get a few opinions of food on here too on PCA Sim Racing if you stick around long enough. But Steinbrink 24th, 25th to Philippe O'Bounty of the Lone Star region. He had the orange zone penalty at the beginning of this race. A shame. He had plenty of pace as well. O'Bounty qualified in 4th. He's currently the first car, one lap down in 24th. 25th is where he sits now because Mike Nyden has come down pit road. Mike Nyden is 26th. He's one lap down. He's another Peak State region driver, the red, white, and blue machine that we've seen so often in coverage of PCA Sim Racing throughout the series. And then Michael Evans and Mark Harris are the two cars off the racetrack, scored 27 and 28. And that will conclude tonight's Michelin Mid-Race Report, brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward. Ed Nelson, Jared Rodeheaver, Jeff Smith there in the mix. And again, one of the underlying storylines that we mentioned in the mid-race report, but I don't think we touched on enough. How about the Toda region of the PCA? You've got Rodeheaver, you've got Jeff Smith, you've got Kevin Douglas in the mix, Tamara Albaga too. They've all come down pit road for service, all been really quick, and so much good stuff coming out of Philadelphia tonight in this club class.
Certainly is. We haven't seen this much dominance since we saw the Maverick, and those in the Texas area have a great shot of winning here or running strong in the PCA Sim Racing Series. Of course, you can't count out the Peach Staters as well from Georgia, who always have a strong performance in the PCA Sim Racing Series. But it's time for the Northeast region, of course, with Philadelphia region, to shine here tonight in the Sunshine State, as it's currently, though, a little bit dark out there still, as the headlights ablaze on all of the race cars out there, as pretty much now everyone inside the top 10 has completed their one required pit stop.
Only car yet to pit, the 386 of Bruce Robinson. Everybody else in good shape. And as our race continues, we remind you that tonight's coverage of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by the Z1 Dashboard. The Z1 Dashboard is the racing analytics application. The only thing you need to show you everything you need to know about your position on track, your competitors' positions, and you'll be after pit stops. The Z1 Dashboard can also tell you where your competition is, when you should pit, how much fuel you should take, and what the weather is like. You can assign up to 10 different dashboards to each car and switch between them with the click of a button, so the required information is always at your fingertips. The latest version has just been released that includes even more dashboards, and the ability to use your iPhone, iPad, Android phone or tablet, or any other device with a web browser as a display. To find out more about the Z1 Dashboard, you can visit their website at www.z1dashboard.com. The final free sim racing software package of Series 5, which is presented to us all season by Z1 Dashboard and goes to one PCA Sim Racing EDE student each Friday, is Chip Witt from the Redwood region in the PCA Sport class that just competed not too long ago. The PCA Sim Racing EDE program provides all kinds of sim racing coaching, from the drivers turning their first lap in the sim to the most advanced of sim racers. You can sign up for the EDE program at PCASimRacing.com/EDE, and you might be the next person to win this software. And PCA EDE program is, shall we say, significantly increased within Series 5, and will continue throughout the off-season as well, as we work our way towards the Endurance Series in Series 6, which are next up on the calendar, and even the zone competitions too. You'll want to pay attention to everything that PCA Sim Racing EDE has to offer. If you're trying to jump up the podium spots and jump into maybe a race victory here or there, go learn from PCA EDE program. Go learn from PCA Sim Racing's tremendous resources. James Houston Company doing a tremendous job to help educate all of PCA Sim Racing, and doing a very, very tremendous service for the people, I think, which goes back to a similar point that we've seen throughout PCA's coverage, where it's not about the cars, it's about the people. That's something we've seen in our time with PCA Sim Racing and our time with the PCA, and I think that's just another extension of it. So, again, if you want to learn, if you want to become better, PCASimRacing.com/EDE. Rafael Amarin could probably teach a few of those EDE classes. He's out in front by 4.4 seconds over his Daytona competitor Jared Roadheaver. Ed Nelson sits in the third spot, just missed back to fourth. So a little bit of shuffling through these fields and a little bit of place changing. But the most important piece of this, Sean Benet, with the drop, is going to be champion barring the unexpected.
Well, Trey Drawhorn currently is right in front of him in the 16th position right now, so I have to keep that in check as well as they continue to do battle here. About 1.3 separate the two drivers right now as they continue on their way. 7 minutes left to go as Rafael Lamarine, well, he's doing what he does best, leading the race and pulling away from the rest of the field.
This is where this gets very interesting, I think, because now we've seen Drawhorn climb up to the field after his 2 pit stops. He's still 16th, and Stephen Chen runs in 9th. And that tightens up that gap significantly. We talked about how Stephen Chen had the ability, especially when Drawhorn was buried back down in 26th, to leapfrog Drawhorn. We know Amarim is going to leapfrog Drawhorn to get second if this result holds. But it's the question about who gets that final spot on the podium between Drawhorn and Stephen Chen. Now that Drawhorn is up to 16th, Chen is back to 9th. It's a little bit tighter. We could be racing down to the wire for that final podium spot in this club class.
And that is why we run the races here, to see who is the best of the best, especially here in the club class here for the PCA Sim Racing Series here as we're closing in. 6 minutes left to go. A good battle for second place between Jared Roadheaver, Ed Nelson. They're almost going to go side by side through turn number 6 as Roadheaver gets a little bit loose coming off corner exit, as we still see the two battle. And now Nelson looks to the inside, now get to the back bumper of Jared Roadheaver. He will take a peek to the outside and see if he can make the pass and slingshot around his competitor for second.
Looks like Drawhorn, I think, is back in control of that race for the final podium spot in class. Live points calculations I just did have Drawhorn 20 markers to the good on Stephen Chen. So Chen's going to have to make a charge here. The good news, though, is that he's got a spot that's available right in front of him. Klaus Nielsen is there, and Chen is getting the toe, and it's not necessarily out of the question that you can see Chen maybe gain at least one more spot. If Rodney Campbell makes a mistake, maybe 2 there, which certainly would help Chen's case.
He cut the course, though, so he's going to lose valuable time, though, to Klaus Nielsen as they come out of the bus stop chicane. So he's going to have to be careful, not make any more mistakes from here on out.
I think that most certainly qualifies as commentator's curse. We haven't had too many of those cases tonight, but I think that outright definitely works as a good example of that, as Stephen Chen slides back, and what was a 0.4 of a second gap now goes back to 1.7 seconds, or 1.7 seconds rather. So he's pretty much splitting the gap. He's got 3 seconds to give before Kevin Douglas catches his rear bumper, but Chen needed to gain, not lose time, to the 04 machine with 4 minutes left and change in this third race of the evening.
Just wanted to give an update between the battle between Sean Benet and Trey Drawhorn. Sean Benet was able to get around the 395 of Trey Drawhorn. Those two are now separated by about 0.3 of a second now as we continue to wind it down. 4.4 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. And still Stephen Chen has reeled back in Klaus Nielsen for 8th.
Could be interesting to see whether or not Amarim would have enough points to potentially catch Benet if Benet didn't have the drop. That would be the big thing. If Benet was actually taking 16th place points, this points battle would be much more intriguing. But Benet will take home 8th place points if this result holds, and that I don't think will be enough. 278 points go to third, 320 go to first, which is not a 60-point gap. It needs to be 11 in that case if he weren't taking the drop in order to make it. So Benet's title bid is very, very solid at this stage.
So far, indeed, and it's been what a great season for the club class. I mean, we had great dominating performances by both Benet and Rafael Lamarine. Trey Drawhorn also in contention for every single race that has ran this season. It's a little bit different, of course, here at Daytona. We like to shake things up here in the Sunshine State. You never know what's going to happen here on these races, so we'll have to wait and see and continue to keep track of what happens with Benet, Drawhorn, and Rafael Lamarine. But don't forget Stephen Chen as well, trying to see if he can break into the top 3.
This is all Rafael Amarim, though, at this stage. He's got one more lap to go after this one, so we're on 2 to go at this stage. And Amarim there, just hanging out in front of Ed Nelson. It's been points calculations, but there's also a really good battle back to fourth, which we have to go watch. Sean Murphy, Jeff Smith, Rodney Campbell, Travis Brody, pretty much nose to tail back to back to back to back as they enter the International Horseshoe.
Here goes Travis Brody taking a peek to the inside of Rodney Campbell. Couldn't quite make it work as they come off corner exit. Campbell is starting to pull away from Travis Brody to see if he can get to the back bumper of Jeff Smith. This is going to be a battle to see who makes the least amount of mistakes now as they head up to the Western Horseshoe. Hit the braking zone they will go as Smith tries to look to the inside. Here comes Campbell, almost makes contact as they come out of the Western Horseshoe and continue on their way. Sean Murphy starts to pull away though by about 3 car lengths.
Sean Murphy with a good stretch here. Smith, Campbell, Travis Brody there in the mix. But again, we wondered how Jeff Smith's damage would affect the number 16 machine. Remember, he was up in third. He had been leading when he caught the wall on the exit of the bus stop chicane on the back straightaway. That's ultimately what gave Amarine top spot, which he has not really seeded since. So now that damage has pushed him back 15 seconds of Amarine into fifth. That, I think, is the most important thing to know. As Amarim now comes through NASCAR 3. When he reaches the start-finish line, it's white flag for the 22 car, and Amarim will be looking for another victory to add to the ones that he picked up at Suzuka and Barber Motorsport Park. Third win of the season on tap for Amarim, and for Sean Bonet, it's not the race that he wanted, but Amarim's coming down pit road. Rafael Amarim, I don't think, has enough fuel to make it.
What a big upset right here indeed. This now gives the race lead over to Ed Nelson as Rafael Amarin drops down through the running order as he will drop to third, hits his pit box, overshoots it, has to back up. So more time lost indeed as he continues to fall through the rest of the field. Now has stopped at 7th as we will probably now drop outside the top 10 because here comes Steven Chen, Klaus Nielsen as well as they come up to him coming into turn number 1. It's going to be a tight battle indeed between the two drivers as they now come off pit exit. Alva Marine will be able to maintain 7th position now as they enter into the International Horseshoe.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, just when you thought there weren't any twists or turns left in this race, we get a curveball from Amarim, who couldn't make it to the end on fuel, and all of a sudden, Ed Nelson, who we've not talked about in the winning sense all season long, his best finish, you have to go all the way back to the 5th race of the season at Circuit of the Americas. He was able to bring up a 7th place run there. He hasn't had a podium in Series 5, and it looks like he may be struggling here for Race 2. I don't know if he's trying to maybe drag out the fuel, but Ed Nelson here, if he can hang on and make it to the end, is a half lap away from his first victory at the very end of the Club Class campaign.
Through the bus stop chicane for the final time. He's trying to see if he can bring it home. I think he might be out of fuel. Nope, he's still pushing on. He's still getting up to speed. Not losing any time right now, so he might be okay as he comes to NASCAR 3 and 4 for the final time.
Ed Nelson, you didn't think it when we entered this night, but it's the Pacific Northwest region that has been steady, that has been solid, and is now finally at the very end of the PCA Sim Racing Series 5 campaign, has a winner to celebrate. Ed Nelson wins the Club Class race. The Series 5 season finale goes to the man out of the Pacific Northwest, and we now wait to see where Rafael Amarin comes home. He and Steven Chen are door to door. It won't matter in the points. It would only be one spot, so Amarin will hold Chen at bay, and I don't know what's going to take place so far as the final podium is concerned. We now wait for Sean Bonet, who comes through the bus stop here in Bonet. Will take the drop tonight, but he will be the champion of the Club Class for Series 5.
Him and Trey Drawhorn right now are battling it out for the 15th position now as they come through NASCAR 3 and 4. Here comes Sean Bonet. Will he duck to the outside? Here he goes. He's going to be side by side with Trey Drawhorn as they race to the line. Drag race now. Bonet ahead of Drawhorn. Now he runs out of fuel, looks like.
Sean Bonet out of fuel at the very end and is going to get on the apron to come across the line and finish it off, and it's not the way he wanted to finish this, but it is Sean Bonet who comes away with the title in the Club Class Series 3 or Series 5 Club Class champion presented by Michelin, Sean Bonet. And I wonder maybe if he wanted to save a little bit of fuel to do the donuts, but it is official now. Sean Bonet is your champion of the Club Class for Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing.
What a exciting race. A lot of drama here tonight. And wow, I got to say the Pro Class has a lot to step up to if this is what the club class was able to bring?
I'll put it this way. We've seen a lot of drama from the pro class, and we've seen some great finishes from the pro class over the course of this season. And if the drama levels have been elevated for each of the three classes that have completed their races so far, you can only imagine what we're going to see with the club class here or the pro class here rather momentarily. But Ed Nelson out of nowhere saves the fuel and puts together not only his first podium run of the year, but his first victory of the year in the final race of the season. And to be completely honest, I don't know who has enough fuel at the end of this to make it around, but how about Ed Nelson, who is a fan favorite, chat going absolutely nuts here on YouTube. Dewey Kang, who's going to be running in the pro race in a little bit, incredibly excited. The Drawhorn clan, all excited for Ed Nelson. Everybody just all up in complete surprise and celebration, but Ed Nelson was quick throughout the course of the evening. Maybe not necessarily as quick as Amarim or Jeff Smith was in the beginning, but it's not to say that this isn't deserved because he had been right there pretty much all night.
He certainly has. He was there from the very start of this race, started on the pole position and lost a little bit of ground, but never looked back. He worked his way back up to the field, took the race lead once again, and it was able to hold on and be there in case of a situation like we saw with Rafael Amarim.
Ed Nelson, your race winner. It's now time to go through the full field rundown and tell you where your favorite driver finished. Nelson ahead of Jared Rodeheaver by about 5 seconds in the end. Sean Murphy with the podium in his final race of the season. It's P3 for him. And final race of the season for everyone, mind you. Rodney Campbell came home fourth. Jeff Smith with that damage ended up fifth. Travis Brody was sixth. Stephen Chen finished in seventh, just ahead of Rafael Amarim. Klaus Nielsen and Mario Gonzalez complete your top 10 at the club class.
Currently finishing in the 11th position will be Kevin Douglas, followed by Michael Patterson in 12th. 13th will be Tamer Albaga, followed by John Patterson in 14th. 15th going to be Trey Drawhorn, and your champion coming home in 16th, Sean Benet. Stephen Kenmer will be starting finishing in 17th, followed by the 18th position of Patrick Gill. 19th will go to Bruce Robinson, and Andrew Elsom rounds out your top 20.
21st tonight was Jake Steinbrink. He was the last car on the lead lap. Filippo Berzi was the first car one lap down in 22nd. Jeremy Mazzariello finished in the 23rd position. 24th went to the 6th of Brett Holmes. Robert Cottle was 25th this evening. 26th to the 71 of Mike Knighton, Michael Evans, and Mark Harris. 27th and 28th to complete the grid for the club class presented by Michelin. A better way forward. We are now joined in the booth by Ed Nelson, who comes in and gets ready to celebrate here, and Taylor Burrish will have an opportunity to chat with our race winner.
Edward Nelson, do you have a copy?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. You finally have collected a win in PCA sim racing. How do you feel?
Oh, like every emotion possible. I'm shaken. That was an incredible race. My first win in a main event. And I had a couple top fives going last couple weeks, and I just blew the pit speed limiter and got black flagged. I felt like those last 2 weeks were my weeks to try, but I guess tonight was my lucky dog, right?
Tonight, and certainly was your lucky dog indeed, as you were able to take home the win. Now, when you noticed that Rafael Amarim came down pit road to make the fuel stop that he had to make, what was the emotions going through you then?
Just to hit my brake markers. Like I had, a couple friends that have been helping me out, Joe Stifle and Dewey King, and they're always just like, always hit your brake markers, be consistent. And that's, as soon as I went across the start finish and I seen him in pit lane, I was just like, oh wow, I have a chance right here.
Wow, I mean, very great job. Well, before we let you go and celebrate this victory here in Daytona, who would you like to say thank you to?
Oh, I'd like to say thank you to my girlfriend for putting up with me for all the hours here that I spend in this sim rig, and then my company for sponsoring me, and Dewey and Joe and Lynn and all the guys that have helped me get to where I'm at, Rodney. All these guys have helped me out to be a better driver, and I greatly appreciate all of them. Mike Knighton, Doug, all those guys for putting this together. Absolutely amazing. And Michelin for being a sponsor.
Of course. Well, Ed, go and celebrate this victory, cherish it, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
I hope so. Thank you.
That is Ed Nelson, your winner here tonight at Daytona.
Ed Nelson, your winner of the race. More importantly, your man at the top of the standings. When all is said and done, it is Sean Binet who is the champion of the club class, presented by Michelin. A better way forward. And Sean, not necessarily the run tonight that I think you wanted, but it's the importance of the drop, the importance of the consistency, and that 8th place run all the way back at the very most, I guess, wild race that we saw. The Barber race was certainly something to behold, but that ultimately is what secures the title for you this evening.
Yeah, this whole season has just been a lot of fun, and what better way to end the season than one as interesting as this one, and an awesome track too. I mean, Daytona under the lights, absolutely awesome. I enjoyed every little bit of it.
You look back on this season, and it's that stretch run of, you exclude Barber from it, and you look at what happens in Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and then Road Atlanta, and Circuit of the Americas, and then Watkins Glen. That stretch where you had 4 wins in 5, that was what got you to the front and ultimately got you this title, if we're really going to be particular about it. And was it the practice? Was it the experience with the Cayman? Was it just the way it flowed? What clicked over the course of the season for you?
I love this car. The RSR was a lot of fun, but the 718, yeah, I absolutely clicked with it. My street car is actually a 981 GT4, so it just kind of made sense. And I love the car. I love the tracks this season, and I'm ultimately just looking forward to doing another one soon in the future.
You also come away with a VIP membership to the Haggerty Drivers Club, courtesy of Haggerty. So plenty of benefits in there. Motor Trend On Demand, also part of this. So you can watch all sorts of races to your heart's content there. And how exciting is it to be partnered with groups like Michelin, like Haggerty, that show such belief in PCA sim racing?
Oh, absolutely. I think the sponsors this season have been very graceful, very generous with everything that they've done. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of it, behind the scenes, and with what they're going to do for us, in the next coming months for the next season as well. I'm really excited. I'm a big fan of Michelin, big fan of Haggerty, and they're all just making me bigger fans of themselves as they keep going.
We look ahead to Series 6. It's the GT3 Cup car once again. It's also you most likely in the pro class. You'll almost certainly get the promotion as you go up into the highest level of PCA sim racing competition. Do you have expectations set for yourself in Series 6? Do you have goals that you want to try and hit?
It's going to be challenging. My goal, of course, is to talk with you guys again next season. It's been, a learning experience this whole season, running up at the front, learning to be consistent like that, and watching your mirrors. And I'm ready for whatever kind of challenge that's thrown at me for the next season.
I know there are plenty of people you need to thank tonight for your championship run. So, Sean, send your thank you to shout-outs and let the people know who makes it possible.
Yeah, I got to thank my brother Jensen. He has been really a motivator. He's gotten a lot more practice than I have this season, but, we just obviously have different schedules. And he has just been a wonderful motivator and really, challenging my skills. And, good for him, being really a beginner at this, trying to push me to, end up with this championship spot. Can't thank him enough.
So much that went into the season, and you, Sean Binet, have brought a championship back home to the Lincoln Trail region of the PCA. The Series 5 Club Class Champion, Sean Binet, on behalf of everyone at the Porsche Club of America, PCA Sim Racing, and Podium Esports, congratulations to you, Sean, on your class championship, and we look forward to seeing more of what you can do in Series 6.
Thanks, guys.
Sean Binet is your champion. Second place in the points goes to the man who almost got it done tonight. It's Rafael Amarin, who comes home in the second spot at the end of the day when points are all said and done. And Amarim is with Taylor Burns.
Here with Rafael Amarin. Rafael came so close to taking home a win here tonight at Daytona, but just came short. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. I've miscalculated the fuel. I kind of used our prelude as a reference, and I think we were faster today. So I was short like half a gallon and just had to do another pit at the end. But Ed did an amazing job. He had the pace, and he got kind of with that spin, he kind of got behind, but he would have gotten me if there was more time. And this was just unfortunate for me. It's not the way I wanted to end the season, but it was a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it, and I'm certainly going to miss it.
Well, with that, you do finish second in the points championship. So what can we expect to see you doing the next season when that rolls around next year in 2021?
Well, just to continue to have fun and improve on my consistency. I've had a couple of races where I made some mistakes and that really compromised my ability to get closer to Sean. And just today with like this silly mistake as well. So I just need to improve my consistency and make sure that I'm having fun and just enjoying those Friday nights.
Well, Rafael, before we let you go and celebrate this second place in the championship here tonight, tell us who you'd like to say thank you to and any shout outs you'd like to send.
Well, first, just send a shout out to everyone that organized this. So amazing job to everyone. This was a lot of fun. All the sponsors and Michelin for allowing us to participate in this. And obviously always to my wife. She's always supporting me through my adventures and allowing me to do this. So always appreciative of her.
All right, that is Rafael Amarin coming home in second place in the point standings here tonight. And James has caught up with the final driver on the podium for the championship, Trey Drawhorn from the Chicago region.
Trey Drawhorn of the Chicago region of the PCA picks up third in the final point standings in class, and we're now joined by one of, if not maybe the biggest fan favorite in all of PCA sim racing. And Trey, just a really solid run, I think, throughout the season. Maybe not quite the run you wanted tonight, but you look back on the year, 3 third-place finishes, a second place mixed in there, and then the victory at Laguna Seca to start the year. When you look back on Series 5, how do you assess your performances, and what's your level of satisfaction?
I think I just did a phenomenal job from my point of view, from where I've come from. So I thought that was really good. And I thought this season was so awesome that this is my best season yet. So hopefully it keeps going up from here.
What was your goal coming into Series 5? You mentioned that this absolutely represents a significant jump in performance from where you had been in prior seasons. So what did you do in the summer, and what did you do to prepare to get yourself to this point?
I really just practiced over the summer, just, go out, do the iRating stuff, race the Miatas. The Miatas really helped, especially just with car control and, balance and keeping it smooth. It kind of flows with the Porsche GT4, and I just felt like it just was so such the same feeling. And then racing against other people also helped me a lot. So yes, that really helped.
You come away with third place. I have to ask you the same question I asked Sean. GT3 coming back on the schedule, Series 6 coming next year. How much excitement do you have getting ready to go back into GT3 racing one more time?
I am so happy to race the Cup car. It just feels I don't know, it's hard to explain, man. It's just, when we started off in season 1 with the Cup car, it was just a whole different breed of car. And I'm really now, I feel like I'm good enough to go and drive the car a bit better than I used to, definitely. So, man, it's going to be so much fun. I'm so hyped for that.
Well, Trey, I know there are a tremendous amount of people, maybe more so than anybody else, that you need to thank, given how big your fan section is in chat. So send the thank yous, the shout outs, let the people know who makes it happen for you.
All right. So I have my dad, my mom, my grandparents, and my friends, of course. And oh my God, just you guys do such a great job. When I look back at the, videos and live streams of you guys. You just comment so much, so it really means a lot. And all the people who I race against, and just the whole PCA community, I really thank you all. Thank you so much.
There also is that VIP membership into the Haggerty Drivers Club that's coming your way as well. So plenty of fun little bits and bobs that you will get as a result of your run here. And I think you can definitely attest to it, having been in this spot for as long as we've been, that it's been a steady rise, a steady progression through the ranks of PCA Sim Racing. This is the high water mark. I have a feeling it's not the last time we'll see you in a spot like this. Trey, on behalf of everybody at the Porsche Club of America and Podium Esports, congratulations on your P3 finish in the club class for Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing. We look forward to seeing you in those Cup cars when Series 6 rolls around next year.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you again. Really awesome job with what you guys do here.
Trey Drawhorn, P3 in the points in the club class. It leaves us with one more man to talk with. Mike Patterson is the winner of the Haggerty Driven to Excellence Award. He was the cleanest driver throughout the club class in Series 5. He is with Taylor Burris.
Here with Mike Patterson. Congratulations on winning the Haggerty Driven for Excellence Award here tonight. Tell us, how do you feel about that? And of course, you had a great opportunity for it. We look forward to watching you give us the lap guide here early on.
Well, first of all, you guys have done a great job all year. I watch every one of the broadcasts. I had no idea there was an award for this. I'm just a middle of the pack guy, and the only way I can compete is to stay off from people and stay on the track. So that's basically my philosophy.
Well, with that philosophy, that helped you win the award because you had the fewest incident points out of anybody out there on the track in this class. So what is your thoughts about it? What to prepare helps you prepare for each race that we go to each week?
I have to convince myself that I can't run with those top three guys. So take it easy and just stay safe.
Well, with that, Mike, before we let you go, what can we look forward to seeing you doing next season? And anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I hope to be here for the long haul. I hope to play in every single race that they put out there, man. And shout out to Jared, because he actually helped me out when I first got into this.
All right, that is none other than Michael Patterson from the Longhorn region, of course. He is your Haggerty Driven for Excellence Award winner tonight. So congratulations to Michael Patterson.
And that concludes our coverage of the club class for this evening and drops the curtain on the club class in Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing. One more time, a big thank you to Michelin for their support of this particular class all season long. If you're on YouTube, one more time, out of full screen you go to the blue button in the bottom left, you click, you head to the pro class video on the channel. That is where we are going to be next. It is time for one more race in Series 5. It is the best of the best in PCA Sim Racing. And if the first three races are an indication of how nuts it could get, we've already seen the pro class get crazy at times in Series 5. Expect fireworks. And not just those that you're going to see over Lake Loy once the race is finished. Don't go anywhere. Podium Esports coverage of Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing concludes with the top class in PCA Sim Racing in just a few moments.